You guys all ready to move to the other side? Well, let's go. Come on across. There you go. Morning, Maya. You ready to go? It's a little chilly today. Hey guys, I'm Evan. Welcome to Country View Acres. So today, it's New Year's Eve, and it's the day we're going to talk about our goals and our plans for next year. And we're going to do our goals a little bit differently this year. We're going to change kind of how we do them, maybe make them a little more realistic. But before I do that, we need to go over what our goals were for this year and see how we did on them. So last year, I wrote our goals up on this blackboard here in the workshop. That way, every time I came in here, they were like staring me right in the face. Hopefully that would keep me motivated, keep me working toward my goals. Now, we did get quite a bit done this year. I feel like we've accomplished quite a bit. But as far as our goals are concerned, I really don't think we did very good focusing and working toward these goals. Now, our first goal for the year was to actually finish the inside of this workshop. So as you look behind me, this one side of the workshop is still unfinished. It's still insulation, no wood on the walls. This little corner over here, we're wanting to put a side door in so that we could walk straight out into the outside of the dog kennel instead of having to walk around the building. Needless to say, we didn't make a single video working on this workshop. We didn't do anything toward this goal. It was a complete failure. We got a big fat 0 when it came to finishing the workshop. So goal number 2 was to finish fixing the Allis Chalmers D17 tractor. We had already had it torn mostly apart. At the beginning of the year, we pulled off the lift arm assembly and the PTO shaft. We pulled that off the very back of the tractor. We got that rebuilt, and then we mounted that back on the tractor. We got one of the axles mounted back on the tractor, and then all work stopped. And we did not come back out here and work on this, I think, until around November. We finally came back out. I started cleaning up parts again, started working toward getting the other axle back on, and we are finally to the point where I just painted the back half of the tractor yesterday. So we got a fresh coat of primer on here. We got a bunch of parts over there that's primered. And later today, should be putting on the first coat of Allis Chalmers orange paint. It's going to get a couple coats of orange paint, and then we'll finally have a video out of painting the back half of this tractor. So even though we are to the point of painting, there is still quite a bit left to do. I'd say overall, everything that needed to be done, maybe we've got 25% of it done. There's still another 75% to do before this is actually running, where we can get it out of here and use it outside again. So overall, didn't do very good on this goal at all. I'd say 25%. So goal number 3 was to install a solar power system that could power our critical loads during a grid outage. And our critical loads would be like our lights, our microwave, our hot water heater, our refrigerator, and our freezers, and our propane furnace, to be able to heat your house. The critical items that you would like to have going, not everything. And I wanted it to be able to do that in December when the sun is low, there's less solar, there's more clouds. So everything is sized to run those in December. And we did get this goal complete. We installed the Canadian Solar EP Cube. We have a total of 20 kilowatt hours worth of battery here for energy storage. And then we got a little over 11,000 watts worth of solar panels on the roof. And this does power our critical loads, but in normal operating time, it actually powers everything. It powers our whole house. It powers the garage. It lowers our electric bill. It sells power back to the power company. It does so much more than what our original goal was. But if there was a grid outage, I can turn everything off and just run the critical loads. If it was sunny outside, this could run our critical loads indefinitely if it was sunny every day. If it was no sun, this can go for over a day without sun and power them before I have to use a gas generator to charge things up or to run something. So I think overall we met that goal, and Of course, the winter time is going to be worse. It's always going to do better in the other times of the year. So I think we definitely achieved this goal. It was definitely probably one of our most time consuming, and one of the ones that took the most amount of money. So this definitely took a lot of our time this year to get this all installed, but I'm very happy with the end result. So goal number 4, it says, was to clean out old fence rows. Now I don't know if I necessarily like the way that was written. I looked at my old handwritten notes, and I originally wrote that up as to continue to work toward having more pasture. And to have more pasture, I needed to clean out fence rows so that I can install new fencing right along where the old fence used to be. And so that's the whole intention of that, was to just work toward fencing in this front 12 acres, really. So there was 3 fence rows that needed to be cleaned out. We cleaned out 1.5 of those fence rows, and I think we've got 12 or 13 videos cleaning out fence rows this year. There's quite a bit of work in that, and we got about 50% of it done on that goal. So goal number 5 was to install a well pump and new water lines from the old well house. Now that's an old shallow well on our property. I just didn't realize how shallow it was. It's not 15, 20 feet deep. It was 6 feet deep. And I pumped it out really quickly. It's spring fed. It's kind of weird well that it is, but I pumped it dry really quickly. So that worried me. I didn't want to put a lot of time and effort in something I didn't know was going to supply enough water. So we abandoned that goal. I replaced it with the corral, building a corral around the white pole barn. And you've seen us work on that over the last few months. We've got a fence on the east side of the corral, and we've currently been working on the fence on the west side of the corral. And I'd say overall, we've got most of our posts in the ground. I think I've got 7 more to go for the loading alley, and I'd say we were probably 30% done on the corral build. But I think we got a decent amount done in the last couple months. So last year we did set like 3 more side goals or side projects, and first one was to get livestock that was more purposeful, and we did achieve that. We got rid of the dairy goats and the fainting goats because they're more like pets, and we replaced them with Katahdin sheep, which is more of a market animal that we can sell. The second one was to fix up the firewood shed. We didn't do anything on that, and the other one was to modify the barnyard fence and fix the back of the livestock barn, the old wooden bank barn. We did do a little bit on that. We did put up one little fence line with a fence line feeder with a feed trough on it for the heifers, but we really didn't get much of that done. I would say we got like 10% of that one done. So overall, you can tell last year we really didn't get much of these lists completed. And that brings us to this year's goals. And like I said, I'm going to set these up a little bit differently, and the reason being is because I think a lot of these are things that I wanted to happen, but there was always more important things to do. The things up here, like finish the workshop, that was a want. I would like that to happen, but when it gets down to it, the animals need fed, hay needs cut. There's stuff that just has to be done, right? So these jobs never get done. This year, I'm going to set my goals up differently. We're going to put down the 5 things that just need to get done. And then we can set up a secondary list of all the things I'd like to happen, of all the things I want that might happen, that might not happen. But the main thing is our 5 goals for next year are going to be the things that have to happen. Okay? The things that need to happen. So goal number 1, the thing that we need to get done the most is we really need more pasture. We have been overgrazed for the last couple years, and all we are doing is ruining the pasture that we have by overgrazing it. We really need to get this 12 acres in the front. We need to get this fenced in, and we need to get planted so that we can graze our animals in it. And that goes back to, we still need to clean out some fence rows to get that complete. So this fence row right here along our driveway, this is one of the fence rows we need to do. I've been kind of saving it till last, but we need to get it cleaned out, and we just need to get this front pasture fenced in. We got 3 sides we need to fence in on this 12 acres and get it planted so that we can actually graze animals and have the actual right amount of acreage for the animals we have. Goal number 2 is we need a way to handle livestock, to be able to sort them, to be able to work on them, vaccinate them, and to be able to load them in a trailer. So that is why we need the corral system that we're starting to build back here. We need to get it finished. That way we can work and give vaccinations to the cattle and to the sheep, and we can load them in a trailer when it's time for them to load up. So now goal number 3, the thing that we'll need to get done if we have this 12 acres over here fenced in and turned into pasture, our animals will actually spend a majority of their time over here grazing in that pasture. So we don't actually have a livestock barn or any type of shelter over here for animals. And that's why every time we move the animals over here, we always move them back at the end of the day over to the other barn. But we really need to have some type of a shelter on this side. And that's where this white pole barn is going to come in. It's going to be part of the corral and the livestock handling, but we're also going to use it for a place that the animals can take shelter out of the wind, the rain, the cold weather. And then as a part of the handling facility, when we build that, I think we can also incorporate in a couple of pens so that we can lock up an animal in a pen if we need to, if you need a birthing stall, or if you need to isolate an animal from the rest of the herd. So I think we're going to be able to use this as a livestock barn and be able to put a couple pens in there as well if we need to. But we do definitely need a shelter on this side once we are keeping the animals over here all the time. So that leads me to goal number 4. So if I turn the inside of this white pole barn, we turn that into livestock handling and into a livestock shelter. I'm going to need a new place to store my round bales. We make 4 to 4.5 foot diameter round bales. I like to store those inside, out of the weather, to reduce the spoilage on them. And that's my preference. That's the way I want to store them. So I need to find a new location to store these. And we store our square bales. We store that in the other livestock barn, the wooden bank barn. We store those there. I don't know if that will really work for round bales, so we're going to have to figure something out on how to store these next year. And now for our last goal, which is goal number 5, and this is what Rebecca says we need. This is her need.
So I have wanted bookshelves for a long time. I have hundreds of books. I love to read.
They're stacked everywhere.
They're all stacked everywhere. And I've kind of been hinting at it for a few years. And this year I've said it's an absolute need. I have to have bookshelves. So.
Yeah, and it's not going to just be any kind of bookshelf. I think we kind of come up with a plan, and it's going to be, we're going to do a built-in. And it'll be like, it'll be bookshelves and maybe some cabinets for storage, but we're going to put it upstairs in our loft so she can have like a little library for her books.
So excited. My own library.
Yes. So I used to do a bunch of woodworking in the past. I haven't done that for a few years. So we'll have to jump back into woodworking a little bit this year and see if we can make some built-in shelves and cabinets and get those installed for Rebecca. So that is definitely what she says is a need.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. She has been harping on me for a while. And I'll get it done this year, I hope.
And you make beautiful woodwork. We could show. I have some.
I think I've showed some of the woodwork before. So I used to do a lot of lathe work, making stuff on a wood lathe. And this was something that I had given my grandmother. And after she passed away, I ended up getting it back. But that is a nice little, I don't know, call it a vase of some sort. It's about 14 inches tall.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Made out of mahogany and maple burl.
So just imagine how beautiful my library is going to be.
We'll see. I'll have to do a good job. She's got high standards now. So needless to say, if I'm going to build the shelves and built-ins that Rebecca wants, I'm going to need my workshop back. I don't normally show this side of the shop, and there's a reason, is because it looks completely filthy. So I've got a couple tractor tires sitting there. I've got the fenders on the other side, and I've just got miscellaneous Allis Chalmers parts kind of laying around that still need cleaned. And then I've got a parts washer and there's just a bunch of stuff in here that has to do with working on this tractor. It's taken up this project and all of its parts has taken up 2/3 of the workshop. So I will have to get this finished and running again so I can get it out so that I actually have the space to make the shelves and the built-ins for the loft. So goal number 5 is kind of dependent on getting the Allis Chalmers out of here. So those are our 5 goals for 2024. And I really do think that we've set ourselves up a lot better this next year. I think these 5 goals are really, I think they are achievable, but I think they are the 5 things that we will definitely work on and that we will definitely be more likely to complete. So I think that this year's goals for 2024, I really do think that they are more attainable just because they do need to happen, so they will take precedence, right? They will take priority, and we will focus on them more than the things that we wanted to do. And that's where I think we screwed up last year. A lot of these I would consider wants. They're things that I would really like to have in the big dream of our property and homesteading and living in the country. We have big dreams and ambitions, and these help fill out those dreams, right? But they don't necessarily need to happen. So I think last year we kind of set ourselves up for failure because most of these, probably 75%, 70% of these are wants. They didn't necessarily have to happen. And we focused on the things that we needed to do to keep this place running and to keep the livestock fed and the hay made. And, we stayed focused on the priorities. And since these weren't needs, these took lesser priorities and we didn't get our goals done. So I think we kind of set ourselves up a little bit for failure just by naming a bunch of wish list items on our goal list. So, and there's never a shortage of wish lists, right? There's not a shortage of dreams of things you want to do. And we've got several. Now we may or may not work on these items up here that we didn't get done. These are all still items we want to do. So we may or may not work on these anytime soon, but like I said, I don't have a shortage of things I'd like to do. So I'll list a few more that I would like to do. I don't know if I've mentioned these before. So besides everything here we didn't get done, I would also like to build a farm fueling station. I'd like to have gasoline and diesel on hand where we can actually fill up the tractors, fill up the lawnmower, and not be hauling gas cans back and forth. We can get off-road diesel that's just cheaper, a little more cost-effective. So I would really like to get that established sometime soon. I would really like to build a root cellar. This is a project I've dreamed of for a while. Of course, it's a want, right? It's a big project that doesn't need to happen. But we've got the hillside out here from our house down to the pond. We can actually build a root cellar into the side of that hill fairly easily, I think. I mean, at least dig it out fairly easily and build a root cellar. And that'd be a cool way to be able to store vegetables from the garden, and that just fits in with the whole homesteading, self-sufficiency kind of mindset and dream. That probably won't happen for some time, but that is one of the things I would like to do. And then, of course, we've talked before about building a bridge across this inlet of the pond so that we can access this side of our property over here easily and be able to use more of our property, basically. It's just kind of all overgrown, and you can't really get back there very easily. If we could build a bridge, it'd be a lot easier for us to get over there and keep that side of the pond mowed, and you'd have more areas to fish. That's another thing that we would like to do. But all in all, that's part of the homesteading kind of country lifestyle dream, and they're not necessarily things that have to happen to just kind of keep this place functioning on a day-to-day basis. So I'm sure that all those things I mentioned will eventually happen over the next several years, but will we work on them this year? We'll just have to wait and see. But I definitely do have a good feeling about this year. I think we're going to do good on our goals, a lot better than we did this last year. So just stick around and wait and see what happens, and follow along with us and watch us slowly keep developing our 41 acres. We're slowly getting to the point where we're going to have the whole thing, finally developed and using everything. It takes a while. It does take a while, but we're gonna get there eventually. So anyway, I think that's it for today's video, guys. So thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.